This is Getting On with Life, Biblical Wisdom for Successful Christian Living. And this lesson is Wisdom on the Spot. We are given the privilege of asking for and receiving wisdom when we need it. Often in life, we end up in situations where we don't know the best way to navigate through things. There may be multiple choices, or competing pressures, or uncertainty about which path leads where we want to go. In those situations, we might feel we lack wisdom. We are given permission to ask for the wisdom we need. James 1:5 tells us, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him." Wisdom comes from God. There may be ideas that seem right to us and we may think they are wise, but true wisdom comes from God. Proverbs 2:6 tells us, "The Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding." We can think it wise to do what seems best for us in a situation, the choice that gives us what we want. On that basis, however, we would be happy to steal, lie, or take revenge. Wisdom knows that doing wrong brings God's judgment, so it rejects those self-serving choices. Wisdom knows that we are to love God and love others, to even love our enemies. Being nice to our enemy doesn't sound like wisdom to the human ear. However, God knows what is best and what He will reward. So pleasing God is the wisest thing we can do. Often our need for wisdom comes up on the spot, when we are caught between two or more choices and need to make the choice promptly. Will we go with our friends or stay back and clean up the mess we all made? Will we finish the project on hand or give in to the demands of others who want our help? Will we stop and wipe the tear of a hurting friend or just press on with the seemingly important things we want to do? Which of the various responsibilities we hold has to be attended to first? If someone is going to feel upset by our choice, who will be least upset? Wisdom is not ethereal like a vapor, formless and vague. Instead, wisdom holds to very clear principles and rules, and has its own structure and pillars. King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, referred to wisdom having a house and 7 pillars. Proverbs 9:1 says, "Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars." People have given thought to identifying those 7 pillars as 7 principles that bring wisdom to those who follow them. Consider then that wisdom is not some random toss of the coin decision that changes from one situation to the next. Responsibility has to be upheld. Accountability is acknowledged. Our word has to be kept. Godly morals must be followed. Fear of God undergirds all we do. Truth is to be held sacred. Those who are wise have embraced these and other foundational thoughts which make it easier to make wise choices on the spot. A principle of wisdom is that of consequences. Choices lead to outcomes, so wisdom sees consequences. A fool makes on-the-spot choices based on what suits them at the time, without respect for the consequences they will face later. Theft, lying, aggression, willfulness, greed, self-indulgence, argument, anger, and such cause outcomes you must face later. On-the-spot decisions need to factor in consequences which will spring from the choices. Wisdom respects consequences and is guided to minimize bad fruit from the choice made. When all of that fails us, and on the spot we face a dilemma, we are to call on God for wisdom. James 1:5 says, "Let him ask of God, and it will be given to him." So we can turn to God. We may not be able to pray out loud on our knees or in a prayer closet. We may have to pray silently in our head, surrounded by those demanding that we make a decision and act. We can cry out for wisdom, since wisdom is part of being rescued in our situation. Romans 10:13 says, "He who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." We may struggle to think of calling on the Lord, distracted by our agitation and frustration and the pressure of those putting demands on us. When we are caught up in ourself, our own struggles and our own incapacities, we become numb and disabled. When we turn to the Lord, the situation ceases to be all about us and our dilemma. The situation broadens to include God and His will and wisdom. So friends, let me encourage you to always look to God for wisdom. and especially call out to Him for help and for His wisdom on the spot. God bless you.